Hello and welcome to the Tough Cover Podcast with your host, as always, Mark Henry Jr. And you can follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _. And you can follow The Painted Lines where you're watching this on Twitter or YouTube at The Painted Lines on Twitter. And please subscribe to The Painted Lines on YouTube and put on post notifications. We will be having a ton of NFL draft content coming out, especially now that the Super Bowl is obviously today. And that gets us to our point. It is a very special Super Bowl edition. I'm not going to be focusing on basketball. I got one parlay with a little basketball money line thrown in there, but today's about one thing and one thing only. It's the Super Bowl. It's the Bengals. It's the Rams. It's in SoFi Stadium. It's in LA. I am in New York City on the other end of the world in a hotel. And if you folks remember, these usually do pretty good. When I broadcast from a hotel, my lifetime hotel podcast record has to be around like 75%. So without any further ado, I don't know if I can like fully reach into my diaphragm like I usually do and pull out the Michael Buffer here since I am in a hotel, but let's get ready to gamble. I'm going to start it off with my early plays in the game. That's going to be my first quarter and my first half plays. I've got the Rams first quarter minus -0.5 point for 3 units. And I've got the Rams first half minus -2.5 for 2 units. The Rams have started games great all season long, other than that last game against San Francisco. Their defense is second in DVOA in the first half of games. And on the other end, the Bengals have started games slow all year long. And we saw it against the Chiefs. We even saw it a little bit against the Raiders and the Titans. The Bengals ranked 29th in DVOA offensively in the first quarter. So give me the Rams first quarter -0.5 for 3 units, first half -2.5 for 2 units. Then moving on, we've got the Rams -4, my best bet of the day. Actually, you know what? We're going to move to the MVP first. You guys know who I like. I'm on the Rams. If you heard me on Sean Brace's show on Fox PHL The Gambler, if you heard me on John Jansen's show on Fox PHL The Gambler, if you heard me on Chalk Talk with Shane Haff, you already know that I am all aboard the Los Angeles Rams hype train all the way to the Super Bowl, and I've been there since August. I've been on this train since August, and that's why I'm taking some long shots today in Aaron Donald to win MVP at plus 2,000 and Von Miller to win MVP at plus 5,000. Last year, I talked myself into backing the Chiefs simply because of Patrick Mahomes, and I ignored all of the bad signs about their bad and injured O-line. I ignored all of the bad signs about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line and how dominant it was in that NFC playoffs. This is the exact same game. The Cincinnati Bengals are the team of destiny. Joe Burrow is the QB of destiny. Everyone wants a piece of Joe Burrow. He's the hot guy on the streets. But destiny can't block Aaron Donald and Von Miller, and neither can Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow can't do this all on his own. So every tweet that I've gotten today in the last couple of days, that is when I'm talking about how I like the Rams, every tweet is, oh, how do you bet against Burrow? Oh, how do you bet on Stafford? Oh, how do you bet against a team of destiny? Oh, don't you know it's the year of the tiger in China? Like, it's funny because every person I hear pick the Rams has all these knowledgeable football points and all these stats and all this research. And then the people who are picking the Bengals, which is somewhere like 60 to 70% of the country, they're just like, oh, how could you bet against Burrow? I have to bet on Burrow. It's a team of destiny. So I know what side I feel better about since I've seen the two sides argue about why they picked the sides that they did. But I think Von and Donald are going to take over this game. Aaron Donald is potentially the best defensive player in the history of football. He is the best defensive player in the history of his position. And that goes back, 100 years. He's the best defensive player in the world. You could argue he's the best NFL player in the world. If the Rams win a defensive game, there's a good chance Donald will not only wreak havoc in the run game, but he will also be an absolute nightmare for Joe Burrow in the pass rush. Maybe cause a pick with a pressure, maybe force or recover a fumble. And there's a good chance the writers and voters will want to give Aaron Donald his flowers and crown him as a generational LT, Reggie White, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis type generational defensive player. But if it's a defensive game, like I said, it could very well be the other guy I'm betting on the MVP prop for that wins it. There's also a chance that former Super Bowl MVP Von Miller turns back the clock to Super Bowl 50 and becomes the 4th player in NFL history to win multiple Super Bowl MVPs, and he'd be the first player in defensive history to win his 2nd Super Bowl MVP. And and people, some people might say, oh, Aaron Donald's great, but Von Miller's getting a little overrated. I don't, is he that much better than Chris Jones? Is he that much better than Chris Jones? It's crazy to me that people are like, oh, the Chiefs D-line is comparable to the Rams. But it's crazy because Von Miller still has a lot left in the tank. To quote my namesake, Mark Henry from WWE, before last week's game against the best O-line in the NFL in San Fran, Von Miller had 6 straight games with sacks, with 7 total sacks in that time span, 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable stuff. And it shows how much getting Von Miller has opened up the entire defensive scheme for the Rams. Not only does obviously having Von Miller help you because he can get after the quarterback, he can stop the run, he can do it all, but it also forces the offensive line and the other offense to focus less on Aaron Donald, which opens things up more for the best defensive player in the world. So I truly believe the Rams are winning the Super Bowl, and I truly believe it won't be because of Stafford. It'll be because of Donald or Von Miller. So that's why I'm on the Rams -4 for my best bet, 5.5 units to win 5 units. And I also have my Super Bowl future from the preseason on the Rams to win the Super Bowl for 1 unit. Cincinnati has yet to play a top 11 defense in the playoffs. The Rams finished in the season ranked top 8, not only in defense, but in offense, defense, and special teams DVOA. The Bengals played 3 games all year long against top 11 defenses. They lost all 3, and they scored 19.5 points per game as opposed to 29 points per game in their other games. I truly, truly believe this is the worst possible matchup in the NFL for the Cincinnati Bengals, which isn't saying much because these are the 2 last teams standing. These are the 2 teams in the Super Bowl. It should be a hard matchup. I think this is a nightmare of a matchup, and I think if these 2 teams played 100 times, I think the Rams would win about 80 to 90. Like, I truly believe this would be a 7 or an 8 point spread. I think 4 points is an absolute gift. The Bengals gave up 9 sacks to the Titans. For some reason, the people that are focusing on the Bengals are pointing more at their game against the Kansas City Chiefs, who were 29th in the league in sacks, as opposed to pointing at the 9 sacks that Tennessee had, or pointing at the fact that they're now going against the best defensive line in football, and they're now going against a top 3 sacks leader in football in the LA Rams. I think it just could not be a worse matchup. The Rams pass rush is far, far superior and scarier than the Chiefs, and it's better than the Titans D-line that absolutely dominated that game. So I could not feel better about the Rams defense going into this game. But let's get to the Rams offense. I've got Matthew Stafford over 278.5 passing yards for 4 units. He's thrown for over this in 13 of 20 games this year, with 1 game at 278. The implied odds there, I'll take them at -110. I think they might edge this up to 280.5. I'd still take it, but 278.5 feels like a gift. And then we're going to switch sides. The only bet that I have that's on the Bengals is Ja'Marr Chase, anytime touchdown scorer for 2 units. He has 14 touchdowns in 20 games. So again, the implied odds are way better than even money. If I wanted to bet the Bengals money line at +165, if I was a moron, instead of just betting Bengals money line, I would just bet Burrow at +220 to win MVP and sprinkle on Chase at +1800 to win MVP. If the Bengals win, there is no scenario where Burrow or Chase won't win MVP. One of them will be the MVP if the Bengals win this game. So I look at a bet on the Bengals money line as a waste of time. And then my last bet on the game is a parlay. I've got a money line parlay, college basketball with the Rams. I've got UTEP at 3:00 going against Marshall. Throw their money line in a parlay with the LA Rams. That brings it to +110. And the reason that I'm taking UTEP is because UTEP has been very, very good to me. They've covered 4 straight, but mainly it's because Marshall is 2-8 straight up as an underdog, 1-9 straight up on the road. Marshall is a bad basketball team. They've got 1 good player in Kinsey and nothing else. So give me UTEP money line, parlay that with the Rams money line. You put that at +110, you throw 3 units on it, and you're in business. So those are my plays for Super Bowl Sunday. I will recap them in case anyone. Oh, I do have one more, actually. I tweeted this out a couple weeks ago. It's a parlay. I threw the Rams to win the Super Bowl, the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA championship, and the Purdue Boilermakers to win the National Basketball Championship. And that is at +13,650. That is a steep unit there. About $20 to win 3,000. So just for funsies there. If the Rams win, all you're waiting on is the Suns and Purdue. If the Rams win and then Purdue wins, you get some crazy hedge opportunities with Phoenix. So I like that parlay as well. So I just gave that parlay. I also have that UTEP Rams money line parlay that I mentioned at plus 110 for 3 units. And then my straight bets on the game, we've got Rams first quarter -0.5 at 3 units, Rams first half -2.5 at 2 units, Rams -4, 5.5 units for 5 units, Rams Super Bowl future from the preseason, 1 unit to win 8 units, Aaron Donald, Super Bowl MVP, 1 unit to win 20 units. Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, 1 unit to win 50 units. Matthew Stafford, over 278.5 passing yards for 4 units. And Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown scorer for 2 units. So thank you, folks, for being a part of the Tough Cover Click all football season. I'm sure we got plenty more in store, especially for conference championship week in college basketball coming up in a month or so, and also for March Madness. So there will be plenty more of the Tough Cover podcast. Might take a couple weeks off. I mean, we'll see what happens. But anyway, for all the people who joined us today, for all the people who joined us all year, enjoy the winners.